From the street, the Keithley home in Land O'Lakes, Florida, gave you all the right signals. Porch light warm. 2 cars aligned like bookends. A chalk outline of hopscotch still faint on the driveway from earlier that week. Neighbors waved. Kids biked in slow loops. If you had driven by on September 23, 2018, you would have believed everything was steady. Inside lived the mother with 2 careers and a father in a deputy uniform. Inside lived 4 children who trusted that grown-ups knew what they were doing. Then a phone buzzed before midnight. "He has lost his mind and I am sick and I just need him to leave me alone." Another message followed. I threw my ring outside. The house looked the same. The promise was gone. Hold that front door in your imagination. No pry marks. No broken frame. No shattered glass. The enemy here did not force entry. The danger had a key. Samantha was born in 1984 in North Carolina. She lost her mother at 16 and stepped into responsibility without being asked. Her brother remembers the way she became a second parent and a first defender. In Florida, she grew into a worker people relied on. At the Seminole Hard Rock in Tampa, she rose over a decade to assistant manager. She studied nursing. She chased a new challenge in real estate and joined Keller Williams, where she started to land high-end listings almost immediately. Colleagues called her Wonder Woman because she handled spreadsheet showings and school pickups with the same focus. At home, she mothered 4 children in a blended family. Mark, a teenager. Peyton, in grade school. Olivia, a preschooler. Alan, a toddler who still reached up both hands to be carried. In 2012, she married Kirk Keithley. He had years in law enforcement, first in St. Petersburg, then with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Evaluations once nudged him to work on interpersonal skills. Friends and relatives described a man who could be distant at family functions and stingy with conversation. None of that is a crime. It is a pattern that reads differently when the story is over. Neighbors noticed that when he was present, she spoke less. When he was not, she was friendly and bright. That detail is easy to miss in real time and loud in hindsight. By February 2018, they bought the dream. A 2-story cream-colored house in a growing subdivision where kids learned to swim and parents compared lawn fertilizer notes. The mortgage statement was proof that years of work had paid off. The front windows faced west and took in the last light of the day. On the kitchen counter sat a jar for spare change and the permission slips that always need signatures right before bedtime. The final day began ordinary. She felt sick and asked for rest. Over 6 long hours, the house filled with argument. Toxicology later showed alcohol at a level that made clear thinking unlikely and oxycodone in his system. Substances are not explanations. They are accelerants. The mood that should have been caregiving became confrontation. She did what safety plans often recommend. She made space. She went to a hotel to let the temperature drop. We do not know what changed her mind or pulled her back. Children asleep in their rooms. A belief that the person you once loved will settle down. The practical truth that the hotel is not a plan for tomorrow morning when breakfast needs to happen. She returned and sent those last messages to her closest friend. Around midnight, a gunshot broke the house in two. 14-year-old Mark moved with courage adults envy. He saw what no child should see, then chose what every protector hopes he would choose. He got the little ones away and out. He slid under a garage door before it was fully raised and called 911. He managed to tell the dispatcher the facts between sobs. My stepdad shot my mom. He kept the line open as long as he could. Another shot sounded upstairs. Officers arrived to a living room that looked like any living room at midnight. A TV still glowing. A glass on a side table. Daily life stopped in place. Pause here and look at that room. Domestic homicide rarely looks like what movies teach. It is not always preceded by a clear countdown. It often happens in the middle of the ordinary. That is why stories like this keep shocking communities that believe they would recognize the signs. For you watching at home, tell us the first detail that made you lean closer. Was it the text messages? Was it the hotel? Was it the child's call? Your thoughts help us refine how we frame risk in future cases, and your comments genuinely help this series reach more people who may need it. A deeper timeline helps you see how fast a normal day can turn. Mid-morning, she reported feeling unwell. Afternoon was routine. Kids. House. Errands. Early evening, tension rose as he drank. Late evening, escalations that, by her words, lasted 6 hours. She left to create distance. Near midnight, she returned, sent the messages, and within an hour the shots were fired. That arc from ordinary to irreversible spans less than 12 hours. People often imagine these events are slow-moving and obvious. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they compress into a single night that changes everything. Let us widen another layer. This was not a household known for police calls. There were no repeated reports on record. That is common in homes tied to law enforcement. The person who carries the badge knows the system. The spouse knows her call may be fielded by his colleague. It is hard to say "come help me" when you fear that help will arrive wearing the same patch he wears. This is not speculation. It is a pressure that survivors have described again and again. The reason this case resonates is not just the tragedy. It is the life that came before it. Samantha was the person who noticed when you were struggling and stayed at your side until you remembered your own strength. A friend stands at her funeral and says, "Samantha pushed me to leave a violent partner and did not stop until I was safe." That is the story you remember. She raised children who learned courage by watching her. She gave more care than she ever asked for. When people like that are silenced, communities feel smaller. There is also what happened after. 3 months later, another shock hit the same county. A respected veteran named Terry Strawn killed members of his family and then himself. 2 very different men. 2 different contexts. One intoxicated spiral. One deliberate plan. The shared lesson was unavoidable. Stress injury and unaddressed mental health issues inside law enforcement families are not abstract. They are present tense. Agencies across the country took notice. Hillsborough introduced mandatory training aimed at suicide prevention. The sheriff encouraged seeking help openly. A behavioral resources unit launched. A full-time psychologist began proactive outreach. Support dogs and chaplains joined the network so officers had more than one door to walk through. None of these steps make headlines for long. They matter when a person is choosing whether to ask for help or to numb out and push away the people who love him. Let us talk about warning patterns in a way that helps viewers protect themselves and the people they care about. Experts look for control that grows over time. That can look like demanding access to phones and accounts, isolating a partner from friends and family with constant criticism, financial monitoring disguised as concern, Explosive reactions when small boundaries are set. Cruel jokes that are not jokes. Sudden interest in where you are every minute paired with anger if your response time slips. These are not small quirks. They are a map. If you recognize your life in those sentences, take a private breath. You are not overreacting. You are reading the situation accurately. Write down 3 safety moves that cost little and increase your options. A spare key outside the house in a place only you know. A copy of documents with a trusted friend. A folder in your email that holds hotline numbers and is named something boring. A plan with a neighbor that if a porch light blinks twice or a trash bin is placed at the curb on the wrong day, they call for help. Practice a simple sentence you can say to a child without frightening them if you need them to follow a plan. We are going to play the quiet game and go to our special spot. The goal is not to live in fear. The goal is to rehearse safety the way you rehearse a fire drill so your body knows what to do. There's also the question many ask after a case like this. Why did she go back? The honest answer is that staying away is rarely simple. Shelters may be full. Money may be tight. Work schedules and childcare may make a hotel feel impossible for more than a night. Love does not turn off like a switch. People remember the person they married and hope the better version returns. The most dangerous time statistically is when a partner asserts independence or prepares to leave. Samantha was growing quickly in real estate and reclaiming definition outside of the marriage. For a controlling partner, that feels like sand running through fingers. It often sparks a sudden surge in violence. Understanding that pattern helps friends see the risk earlier and offer concrete support rather than vague advice. If this analysis feels useful, tell us in the comments which safety practice you think every household should normalize. The most upvoted suggestions often become the focus of our follow-up content. Your ideas may help a stranger you will never meet. Let us return to the community. The real estate world rallied and raised funds for the children. Her colleagues spoke about her by name and told the story they wanted remembered. Her uncle asked everyone not to reduce her life to those last minutes. He said to remember the 18 million minutes before. The first bike rides. The inside jokes. The tiny kindnesses that never make news but build a life worth living. That request is the reason we made this episode. To return her story to its full size. Here is how you can turn attention into something that changes outcomes. If you value careful reporting that centers victims and extracts practical lessons, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Comment with one concrete change you believe agencies should adopt to reduce domestic violence risk in law enforcement families. Ideas might include temporary firearm removal during acute domestic calls, mandatory wellness checks after use of force incidents, confidential counseling protected from career consequences, peer teams trained to spot withdrawal or sudden personality shifts. Your comments create a public list of solutions that leaders and viewers can use. Share this video with someone who works in a high-stress field or someone who mentors families navigating complicated relationships. One share can start a private conversation that stops a crisis before it starts. If you are the person who needs help this minute, use the safest device you have. In the United States, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit their site when safe to do so. For mental health emergencies, dial 988. If you are outside the United States, search the name of your country in Domestic Violence Hotline and save the number under a neutral contact name. Clear your recent calls and browser history if that helps you stay safe. If calling is not safe, many hotlines offer chat services that look like any other web page. You deserve safety and dignity. You are not alone. For viewers who want deeper dives, tell us if you want a follow-up episode that measures what changed inside the sheriff's office after these tragedies and which reforms appear to be reducing risk. If you want a practical guide episode on building a safety plan, we can produce a step-by-step walkthrough that you can pause and adapt to your situation. Vote in the comments. We build our next scripts around what you ask for. Before we close, we return to the children. Mark's actions under pressure protected his siblings and brought help to the door. That bravery does not erase the trauma. It does tell you who raised him. The younger kids will grow up with the truth that their mother was fierce and kind, and that communities across the country learn from her story. That is how legacies work. They move forward through the lives they shaped. We end with a simple promise. This channel does not sensationalize suffering. We pursue facts and context so that memory has weight and so that viewers finish each episode with more understanding and more tools than they had at the start. If that mission aligns with your values, add your voice. It truly helps. Next episode preview without spoilers. A quiet suburban storage unit. A misplaced envelope. A partial print cold for 20 years suddenly warm thanks to a new map of family trees. Join us as we follow the thread from a forgotten locker to a knock at a door that closed an old wound. Stay with us and stay safe.